Is your 4 to 5 year old clumsy or messy and you spend a lot of time of the day just cleaning up behind them? Is your 10-year-old really struggling with his studies? Is your teenager hard to handle, back answering and not listening, stomping away and shutting the door as you speak? The answer for these questions, if your answer for these questions starts with, why is my child like this? Why isn't he doing this? Why is he doing this? Then please think again. Hi, my name is Sirisha Chundori, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 4 fundamental aspects of parenting, which will help you or guide you in finding answers to the questions that I just mentioned. Not only those questions, but many questions that you face on a daily basis by interacting with your child. Start by taking 2 examples. The first one is of a guy called Shrikant Bolla. When Shrikant was born, he was blind and he was born into a poor farmer's family. With great difficulty, he finished until his 10th. But then his parents could see that he was interested in studying further. So when he approached junior colleges for his further studies, none of the colleges were ready to give him admission. So the parents went ahead and filed a case against the state government for discriminating against a child only because he was visually challenged. And they won the case after 6 months, and Bolla finished his intermediate. He went to US, returned back with a graduation. He started Bullitt Enterprises in 2012, in which 70% of his staff are differently abled. You must be wondering, what has this got to do with parenting? Stay with me, it has very much got to do with parenting. The second example I want to talk to you about is about our dear guy Mohammad Shami, the amazing fast bowler of Indian cricket team. When he was 12 or 13 years old, he was playing with his friends and his father could see that this guy had a spark. So he took his son to a town which was about 25 kilometers away, where Shami met his first coach, and the rest was history. That formed the basis for what is Mohammad Shami today. Now with these 2 examples, if we relate parenting, both the parents in both the examples saw what the rest of the world saw in their child. Apart from that, they took one extra step and they could also see what their child wanted to do. In Shrikant's case, the parents knew that he was blind, but they could also see that he wanted to study further. In the case of Shami, the father could see that he was a good player, which the rest of the villagers also saw. But he took that extra step and took his son to the village or to the town which was so far away, and rest was history. So these 2 examples clearly show the role of parents more than the child. So here is my first fundamental aspect of parenting. Parenting is to do with parents. It has nothing or very little to do with the child. To understand this aspect further and to get a better understanding of the crucial role a parent plays in building or breaking a child's confidence or self-worth, let's take a very small example. There is this 4-year-old who is trying to fill a glass of water from a water dispenser. Scenario 1, wherein the mother sees that the child is trying to do this and she jumps in and she says, no, don't do this, this is not for you. You might spill the water and I need to clean up behind you. Go and sit and I'll get you water. The possibility is, if the child is rebellious, you have a tantrum to deal with, or if the child is a sensitive child, she or he will quietly go and sit for you to bring him or her a glass of water. The second scenario is where the child wants the water, the mother is watching from behind, and the child has opened the tap, started to fill the glass of water. Water is reaching almost to the brim. The child doesn't know to close the tap, so the mother helps by closing the tap. The child walks gently and in the process spills some water, drinks the water, puts the glass away and runs off. So in the first scenario, When I look at this situation from the child perspective, as a child, I'm thinking, or the message that I am getting is, oh, I better not do this job by myself because I'll spill water, which is not expected out of me, and I don't know how to do this, so I better stay with it. So the next time when I need to fill that glass of water, if I am brave, if I am an outgoing child, I will try to do it again, try to fill the glass of water by myself. Maybe couple more times, but by third time I would give up and I would say, directly go to my mother and say, give me a glass of water. Simple. Second scenario. In the second scenario, if I am looking at the situation from the child's perspective, oh, I can do this job by myself. Yes, I made a mess, but my mother is there to help me. She would give me a piece of cloth and both of us will clear it up. So when we fast forward this aspect a few more years ahead, for the child in the first scenario, it's very hard for him to take any step by himself, though he is ready and he's confident to take that first step. But the child is met with expectation of perfection and intimidated by the adult who says, you better do it right. In the second scenario, the child is ready and is brave enough to take that first step. And he will most probably take the step because he knows the parent is standing right behind them to help him in their journey. So with this, I want to ask you, are you the parent who does this gesture or this gesture? Think about it. This brings me to the second aspect of parenting. Let your child be a beginner. The beauty of the beginner is being clumsy, dropping things as they go, not being perfect at all. Perfection is the last thing for a beginner. They are kind of exact opposites. Shami didn't become a fast-paced bowler just from jumping from a beginning stage to where he is. Nor did Srikanth. There is a long haul between a beginner and a perfectionist. And let your child be that. And in this long journey, there is always roadblocks. Not one, but many roadblocks. And to understand this aspect, because in these roadblocks, emotions play a very important role, isn't it? For the child and also for the parent. Let's take a very simple example to understand this aspect. You see that your 11-year-old child is sitting on a sofa and he is looking very grim, he looks very worried, and when you look closely at his face, there are tears welling up in his eyes. Scenario 1. The mother goes to the child and says, why are you upset? No answer. I'm asking you, why are you upset? Why all this crying? First wipe off your tears. Why are you crying? Tell me. I don't like when people cry, especially you crying. Don't cry. Tell me what happened. Then the child says, tomorrow I have social exam and I'm all confused. I'm getting worried with the timeline, the kings. I'm all confused. I think I'm going to fail, Ma. And then he starts crying. And the mother says, I told you, social is not a subject for you. You're not able to do well in it. I told you to study 20 days before. And you pick up your book today and try to study. Now go to your room and finish it. Scenario 1. Scenario 2. You see your child upset on the sofa. You go and sit beside the child and ask him, what happened? No answer. You give a hug to your child and give him a couple of minutes, because to verbalize any emotion, it takes a lot of courage, and that's what you are giving your child. And after a few minutes, when your child says, I'm not prepared for tomorrow, you ask your child to bring the book, social book, and with his help, you make like this little tabular column with kings and timelines and help him out. He goes and gives his exam tomorrow. So the next day when he comes from school and he tells you that he hasn't done his social exam well, there isn't much for you to worry about, isn't it? Because you have achieved a much bigger goal. Bigger goal of you being able to stand beside him, by him, and assuring that the way he has expressed his emotions was completely okay and you stand beside him no matter what. So you as a parent have a choice whether you meet your child's emotional outbursts or different ways of expressing his emotions with your own emotions, or you can see that your child is expressing emotions and you stand beside him and tell him that I am right here to help you out. You choose. And this brings us to the third fundamental aspect of parenting, which is helping your child to develop a healthy relationship with their feeling life. Here, there is a very important aspect. When the child was not feeling up to it, the mother going and giving the child a hug, giving the child enough time so that they feel ready to speak about it. These are all about non-verbal communication, which is very rare to see, but it is very, very important, because that little hug, that little time for the child to find that courage and speak to you are going to go a long way, and that's what builds the bond between you and the child. And along with this non-verbal communication, verbal communication is equally important, especially when you have a teenager at home. Let's take again a very simple example to understand this better. Let's take an example where you have your teenager very busy with the phone, messaging, checking her messages, and you are speaking to her. And you have asked her something, no response, fully engrossed in the phone. First scenario, you just talk to your child and you say, again you are at it, spending so much time on the phone. How many times have I told you not to be on the phone for so long? I've been asking you this question for so long. No response. First scenario, and it goes on. And in response, the child says, Ma, you always complain about it whenever I am in phone. But this is the time my friends are available for me to chat. What do you want me to do? Have no social life at all? And then you say something and then she says something and it goes on and on. The second scenario, the child is on the phone. You stop what you are doing and go and sit beside the child and ask the child, can you sit with me? I need to talk to you about something. And you let the child put the gadget beside and you say that I have been trying to talk to you about this, but most of the time you're on the phone. My biggest worry is, you tell her what your worry is for your child being on the gadget for so long, the kind of effects it has on their eyes, their behavior, on and on. This is very important because by you mentioning it, by telling this to your child, you are showing your vulnerable side as a parent. You are putting across to your child your worries. This helps the child to open up and bring forward their worries. So when you put forward your vulnerability as the first step, then they feel open to do the same with you. And when you are in tandem, there is a kind of openness that has been set up, and it opens a channel for communication between the two, where you as a parent can say, this is my worry, and your child will say, but this is the time my friends are free. And together you can come to a consensus and maybe come up with a rule that your child will hand over the gadget when she is not using it, and you will give the phone when the friends are available. And you can ask the child what should be the consequence if this doesn't happen, and you as a parent can make sure that this consequence is brought forward whenever the rule was broken. So this kind of gives the child a feeling that my mother is listening, and it's okay for me to use the gadget because the child has been a part in making up the rule and also the consequence for breaking that rule. So in the first scenario, when your child was upset and was ready to back answer, you met that by being upset equally, and this was the gesture. Now in the second scenario, when your child wasn't ready, you were a bit cool and you opened up, you helped in opening up the communication channel. So again, you have a choice, this gesture or this gesture. This brings me to the last and fourth aspect, the fundamental aspect of parenting, that is being an active listener as a parent. So in this video, I gave you a brief glimpse into the fundamental aspects of parenting, but there are many more aspects that need to be covered. There are a few more videos online to come up. So stay with me and thank you for watching.